All right. Let me move forward to May 18th of 2017, which is, to put it in context, the day after Bob Mueller has been appointed special counsel. And Peter Strzok texted you and said, quote, "For me in this case, I personally have a sense of unfinished business. I unleashed it with the MYE Clinton investigation. Now I need to fix it and finish it," end quote. The person reading it might come to the conclusion, the fix, it means fix the outcome, change the outcome, stop Donald Trump, finish it.
I think it sort of unfinished business to me really just reflects who Pete is, which he's a leader. He cares about Russia in particular. It has in many ways dominated his career and wanted to finish out the investigation, whatever the outcome.
Well, based on that answer, though, it does sound like, as the lead investigator, you took it to mean he was saying the odds are nothing, and as the best counterintelligence agent, Peter Strzok had a gut sense and concern that there's no big, quote-unquote, there.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
With respect to any collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia.
Right. And so he is the best investigator. So if someone is going to find it, it's going to be him. And so I think that this is just a reflection of, like, there are no bad choices here. You know, there is no wrong move. You are good at what you do. You will do well wherever you are. Just think, it's like you're going to do a Russia investigation. Like, he worries, he overthinks. Good, you're good at what you do. And so I think that this is just like, you know, an attempt to sort of, there's just no wrong choices here.
So that's whether he remains in his current position?
Yes. Or he does something else to try to get a promotion. At either level, he would be doing something he loves. The country is winning because he's protecting it from foreign threats.
And in the next text, you say, quote, "I know it will too, but it's just a job. It's not a reflection of your worth or your quality or smarts," unquote. Does that add any context to what you were talking about?
Yes. So, right. We're both smart, hard-working people. But we both have a lot of self-doubt. And so this is a reflection of, this is not to intrude too much on his own personal business, a reflection of, like, do I put in for it? What if I don't get it? And, like, you know, just like sort of the insecurity that comes, I think, with taking a chance at something that maybe is a little bit out of reach. And so this is to me just trying to sort of remind him that it's like a job is a job. You are good at what you do. It doesn't matter whether you get it or not. You are still, you know, of your worth.
And I want you to look at the text that Peter Strzok sent to you that says, quote, And damn, this feels like the other one did too, but that was momentous because this matters to ensure we didn't F something up. This matters because this, all caps, matters. So super glad to be on this voyage with you, end quote. Ended all caps, period, quote. Do you see that?
I do. And I agree wholly with the sentiment, to be honest with you. The Clinton investigation was whether she mishandled. It matters. But it does classified information. That's important. Not matter like a person associated with a presidential campaign receiving and potentially accepting, which we didn't know, obviously, but the risk that somebody had received and accepted an offer of assistance from Russia, which I view as our sort of most treacherous adversary. This one was a more significant, more concerning investigation, and unquestionably one which was more threatening to our national security.
Okay. So as I read this, though, and I realize this is Peter Strzok, but when he says, quote, this matters because this matters, so super glad to be on this voyage with you, unquote, it doesn't sound... It sounds like he's happy. If you're super glad, like if he's stressed, it sounds like he's happy.
That's a personal comment, sir.
What's that?
That's a personal comment.
I don't know what you mean, but explain that to me.
That's a reflection that, okay, the mid-year investigation is over. So he's going back to kind of his day job, right? I'm going back to my day job. And now we have a new job, investigation, which will necessarily involve regular contact. The New York Times probability numbers are dropping every day. I'm scared for our organization.
Stein and Moron Johnson are effing everything up too.
Well, why don't we go 10 days forward, Mr. Strzok, and see if we can put a little clarity on this, whether or not you're talking about Trump or sources and methods. Quote, just went to a Southern Virginia Walmart, could, all caps, smell the Trump support, unquote. What did it smell like?
Sir, that text is meant to convey my sense of how radically different, even within the state of Virginia where I live, that going from Northern Virginia down to Southern Virginia, how different the population was in their support for the presidential candidates and congressional candidates.
No, I get that, Agent Strzok. Unfortunately, that doesn't come anywhere near what you actually typed. My question, to refresh your recollection, was, what did it smell like? You're the one who wrote that you could smell the Trump support. You didn't write anything about how Northern Virginia is different from Southern Virginia and how the politics may be different in the bluer parts of the state. That would have been great if you had actually written that. That's not what you wrote. You wrote, you can smell the Trump support, and my question to you is, what did it smell like?
Congressman, that phrase was used as an analogy to describe what I saw is the vast demographic difference between the electorate in Southern Virginia and Northern Virginia.
Well, that's not
These are conversational private texts. These are not statements for the record. These are not any sort of process by which I was conveying my intent and meaning. This is a conversation done electronically.
So is it your
Hold on. Let me just clarify this for a second. Based on what you just said here, agents, let's talk about these texts generally as they apply to Ms. Page. You have described them as personal exchanges with a close confidant a number of times today, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I don't mean to embarrass you, but is Lisa Page someone that you do or at some point in time did love?
I was engaged at one point in time in an extramarital affair. As long as, we're going there and you want to discuss that, I would tell you that and use and the exposure of that has been. Sir, you brought up, so you know what? If you want to discuss it, then I would ask you to give me the dignity of kind of telling you how I think about it. I deeply regret the pain that all of those things have caused my family. I will always regret that. I regret those texts in the way that they have done that harm, and I would ask you, and I'm happy to answer any work questions you have of me, but I would rather not continue to cause any more pain to my family by, going down this line of questioning.
Okay. So what I'm trying to establish through all of that is, was Lisa Page someone that you cared about deeply at the time you were sending these messages?
Lisa Page, at that time, was somebody I was engaged in an extramarital affair with.
All right. Well, she was a close confidant. I know that because you've said that 3 times.
Yes, that's right.
And you also know that these text messages, fair to say that you thought that you would be sitting in a congressional hearing and these text messages would see the light of day.
Yes, sir.
All right. They were always intended to be private.
Yes.
To a confidant, someone that you were having an affair with and that you cared about.
Yes, sir.
So, explain to me how, given that context, we shouldn't look at these text messages as your most honest and true expression of what you were thinking at the time that you wrote them.
Sir, what I would tell you is that they are a reflection of what I was thinking, and I would note they are absolutely also in the realm of personal belief, of personal opinion of the political process. And I would tell you that, and why that's important is because I continually guarded to ensure that none of my personal political beliefs ever influenced any act I took as an FBI agent.
Again,
I feel like I've been asked this many times, and I'm giving the same answer in response many times. But I can't, in light of the continued asking, drive home enough to you that isn't who I am and that is not who the FBI is. I would not tolerate that in another agent any more than they would tolerate it in me. That just isn't who we are. And so the use and the suggestion that is there deeply undermines the institution of the FBI and what we do day in and day out.
But with all due respect, Agent Strzok, you're the one that's suggesting that. You just told us that these private text messages that you thought no one was ever going to see, that would ever see the light of day, that you intended to only be seen by the person you were having an affair with, were the truest and most honest expression of your thoughts.
Congressman, that's what you said. That's not what the witness said.
Well, let's ask him. Let's ask him. Are you more or less likely to be candid and honest if you don't think anybody else is going to read it?
I don't want to hypothesize, but in general, private conversations, I think there's an expectation of an ability to
See, that's not tough. You're more likely to be candid if you don't think anybody else is going to read it, if you think they're private.
Yes.
That was my point. So, what did you mean by smell the Trump support?
What I meant by that was my sense of being struck by the difference of the electorate between an area as small as northern and southern Virginia, and that I was struck by just the sheer number and amount of Trump support.
And had you used the word quote-unquote struck, that'd be an interesting answer. Had you gone into a conversation about political demographics, regional politics, that'd been an interesting answer, but that's not what you said. You said you could smell the Trump support. Could you also smell the Clinton support?
I haven't ever tried. Again, this is an allegory. I can envision 100 scenarios of ways in which a conversation might have unfolded. I'm telling you, in this case, in this instance, my use of that phrase was in the context of an analogy of how different the local population was.
Then why not say, quote, I could see the Trump support, unquote.
That would have been an even more appropriate word. Look, I'm not going to go back and defend the conversational selection of a particular word at any given point.
You put quote-unquote smell in all caps. I mean, that took you a little time, didn't it?
Well, not appreciably different than all lowercase.
Certain intentionality when you put something in all caps, isn't it?
I think it's to emphasize. Again, Congressman, I feel like we're repeating the same question.
I'm just waiting for the first answer.
You got it.